I'm Frank, and welcome to another segment of But Let's Face It. In the olden days, people mainly became geeks out of an inability to do well in social situations. And that's probably vastly understating it. Consuming media requires zero skill in human interaction, and therefore, people who have trouble dealing with other people tend to do exceptionally well in devouring every aspect of TV shows, comic books, movies, and role-playing games. When being geeky about something brings joy, and meeting people and having conversations brings about non-understanding and patronizing responses, it is perfectly logical for a person to go further and further down the rabbit hole of fandom. As someone becomes more and more expert on a topic, they often wrongly believe that one of their few opportunities to succeed socially is to vocalize their expertise. And often, this expertise manifests itself in the way of criticism. By and large, geeks have no idea how poorly they are going over, and tact is simply not part of the equation. Geeks assume that the more erudition they demonstrate, the more impressed their listeners will be. There is simply no holding back when a geek doesn't like something, and they have zero radar for when their words are going over the heads of whomever they are talking to. Content that disappoints a geek is like taking a scalpel to a facehugger. The damage caused to the surrounding area is done with no concern for who or what gets burned. But again, I'm talking about the geeks of yesteryear. As a wider range of personality types now embrace the geek moniker, plenty of them interact socially with aplomb. And the angry, impolite, fountain of outraged opinions geek is becoming more and more frowned upon. But let's face it, geek rage is awesome, and it is also important. As the fandom demographic expands, geek content can become dangerously homogenized. Companies would love nothing more than for people to accept everything and say that nothing is bad or phony or bastardized or sacrilegious or inauthentic. Geek rage is our best weapon against this Skynet-like nightmare from occurring. When something is bad, it's not enough just to say that it is bad. No one learns anything from that. Although, as people, geeks can be incredibly narrow in their focus, their criticism offers perspective. Perspective that can only be gained from years and years of girls never talking to you. Geeks are cultural watchdogs. Geeks are more likely to identify cliches, but they are also more able to call something out that is being different just for the sake of being different. There is no more honest feedback than from a geek. They don't care about your feelings or anyone else's. They don't know how to. We don't want to discourage geeks from going apeshit. There is such an upside. There is so much to be gained for when geeks freak out like an Ichi the Killer version of Jeff Albertson from The Simpsons. It's not enough just to say, worst episode ever. Oftentimes, a 5,000 word post or cornering someone at a party for half an hour is necessary. It's impossible to meditate on just how shitty some retcon is if we don't even recognize exactly what has been retconned. And geeks are just as good at Wikipedia at explaining any and all nerd sacrilege. Geeks, at their best, are a profound torrent of informed hatred of something that should have been better. And we need to applaud them for it. As a footnote here, geeks should never threaten, except to take their dollars and their eyeballs elsewhere. Anything beyond that is unacceptable. Although we don't talk much about it, it's a horrible sin of omission to allow something to go overrated or overpraised. And let's face it, geeks would rather die than let their wise, artistically correct disdain go unheard.